Let's have a look at the starting grid for Heat 1 for Junior Rotax. There were some post-qualifying penalties handed out, but Ollie Wise and Cameron Nelson lock out for the United Kingdom, and also on the outside of it, Wales on the front row. Ollie Wise and Cameron Nelson will lead the field away when we go racing very shortly. Maxime Becker and Liam Hallour round out the top two rows. Mate Kobahidze, for the 5th place starting position, will be joined by Will Archer on row 3. Bran van der Weken and Albie Lapper will be on row number 4. Ryan Gandor and Vince van der Halle rounding out the top 10. Lars Lambers and Archie Lovett round out row number 6. Albie Friend and Edin and Logan round out row 7. Tom Herger and Sebastian Brand make it an all-German row number 8, an all-French row number 9 with Lenny Hobiou-Lagache and Maxence Leblay. Boris Verhaag and Len Abbas round out the top 20 with Theo Gibuto, Ethan Griffiths, Emir Siarkowska, Lieke van Berkel and AJ Berggraaf rounding out to the 25-strong grid. So for Hobiou-Lagache and Berggraaf, they both had a drop-down penalty of 5 positions due to causing a collision during qualifying, and also a drop-down for pushing in the qualifying session for Lars Lambers, who was due to start on the outside of row number 3. Now with the sighting lap completed, we are on our official formation lap. 12.5 rows, 25 competitors, all vying for the opportunity to become this year's Golden Trophy champion. Previous winners include Lewis Gilbert, Bruno Mulders, Austin Lee and Toms Strella. The other drivers on the Roll of Honour include Mike Van Vught, Jaden Teen, Dion Van Verven, Armin Hamilton, Mads Ries, Fahian Mega, Macaulay Bishop and Timo Jungling, all in their respective appearances at the Golden Trophy, picked up a 3rd place in years 2018, 2021, 2022 and 2023. So set and ready for 10 minutes plus an additional lap of racing, as everyone watching from the terrace by the brasserie and on the grandstand as we get ready for Junior Rotax action to kickstart their campaign in the 2024 Golden Trophy at the Home of Champions. So Wise and Nelson on the front row, into the tram lines, revs rise, full start called. So there were instructions given by race director Manuel Branco to Ollie Wise and Cameron Nelson on what he expects from them being on the front row of the grid. So he has opted to send them round again. So full yellow flag conditions. The drivers will be weaving from side to side. And because everyone is still running with wetsuits on, the Junior Rotax drivers will be also some C2s. So, but there you see AJ Berggraaf and Lieke van Berkel at the rear of the field. And spoken to a lot of drivers in the paddock over the course of yesterday afternoon and this morning. Everyone's pleased to be racing again, but they said we can't wait to start racing next year. Well, that's not that far away when you think about it. The field makes its way through into turn number 9. And good to see Patrick Verbest giving, saying go on Bran, as in Bran van der Weken, starting on the inside of row number 4. So the drivers go past the red line, the point of no return. Drivers being instructed to slow the team here at Karting Genk. So into the tram lines we go. Will we be revs up, lights out this time? Well, one's come to a slight stall, but this time we have gone racing. And Nelson trying to go round the outside of Ollie Wise, who's nearly pinched in the middle. And he loses quite a few positions. Drivers making their way through into the runoff area at the opening tour. And someone has managed to bolt to the front. Cameron Nelson has still kept his nose stuck in there and holds on to second. But Ollie Wise did not get the best start coming off the line at the start itself. So drivers making their way through into turn number 7. It's a bit of a battle royale between second, third and fourth. Oh! And one nearly got caught out, and it could have caused problems, and that would have been Liemalo, the number 207 for RLS. But there is one driver that has definitely made their presence known and has already catapulted themselves into the race lead. I think it might be Will Archer that could be in second position, who started from the outside of row number 3. Come round into turn 12 to complete the opening lap, and I'm not at all surprised. Is that Maxime Becker possibly at the front end of the field? They cross the line, and it is Maxime Becker. Will Archer now goes through on the German for the race lead here at turn 2. He makes it through and gets the job done. Great work there by Will Archer. Started 6th. Now Cameron Nelson trying to put the pressure on Maxime Becker, who switched to Junior Rotax halfway through the 2024 season. Nelson nearly wheel to wheel with him coming out of turn number 6. There's Albie Lapper in the 229, not too far behind. He's made his way up from 8th on the grid. Becker was round the outside of Nelson through at turn 7. Nelson had to keep out of harm's way and hold his line. Now he's got Albie Lapper on his rear bumper. But Nelson still trying to do what he can. Yimalo battling away with Ollie Wise. As move there from Nelson, and it's put Becker sideways and off the circuit. He went for the move and tried to get the job done, but unfortunate contact between Cam Nelson and Maxime Becker at turn 10 on lap number 2. But Will Archer's lead is going to be sizable. It's 1.4 seconds. So Nelson in second position, Albie Lapper in third, Liam Hallor, Ollie Wise now back up to 5th, Maxime Becker down to 6th, managed to rejoin very quickly, very safely, I might add, at turn 10. Tom Hedger, Mate Kobahidze, Ryan Gandor and Lars Lambers ran at the top 10. Lenny Hobiulagash now up from 17th to 11th and is climbing the order. Tom Hedger, there's Ollie Wise, trying to keep his KR Sport Cosmic chassis pinned to the inside. Mate Kobahidze battling away there. I think that is with Maxime Becker, who seems to be in the wars today. That was Ryan Gandor, the youngster from Canada. KR Sport getting his elbows slightly out and sharpened. But Will Archer is pulling away from the rest of the opposition. 6.25 minutes left to go. Will Archer continues to lead. And that is another new fastest lap. 1 minute 13.758. His lead over Cameron Nelson now spans 2.6 seconds. Albie Lapper in third. And then it's Liam Allo rounding out the top 4. Ollie Wise, Tom Hedger up 9 places. From 15th now is 6th, ahead of Georgia's Mate Kobahidze. You see the free-for-all behind. Maxime Becker is between a bit of a rock and a hard place at the moment. I think one of the drivers behind him, yes, it was Lars Lambers I've just spotted. Archie Lovett, unfortunately, out on the opening lap, started 12th and will be a non-finisher. So down to 24 we go. This will have 2 more races to take us to the lunch break. We'll have Heat 1 for DD2 and DD2 Masters And then heat 2 for senior Rotax. And that'll take us nicely to the lunch break. Half-time hit here in junior heat 1. And Will Archer continues at pace to consolidate a good and comfortable lead. And that is 2.6 seconds. And Tom Reger through on Liam Allor. Mate Kobahidze tries to get through on the French driver from RLS at turn 3, but it didn't quite work out for the Georgian. And Gandor in 8th. And we've got Lenny Hobby-Lagash, Lars Lambers, Bran van der Weken, Albie Friend making his junior Rotax debut. Currently sits in 12th, ahead of Vince van der Hullen, who's dropped 3 places from 10th to 13th at Moldogan. And Maxence Leblay round out the 15 strong, well, the top 15 covered by 9.4 seconds. So Tom Reger leading a nice little train out of turn number 11. But with just 4 minutes to go, plus that additional lap, Will Archer continues to do exactly what he needed to do. By turn 2, lap 2, he was leading. He got an absolutely storming start and hasn't really had to look back. Up the inside of Allor goes Kobahidze. And there is Gandor trying to possibly force the issue. He's trying to go around the outside at turn 3. That's brave from the Canadian, but he has to back out of it through 4. If he'd done the crisscross, and might have been able to have launched it up the inside of the 207 and got through rather easily. Not too far behind from the Lehouk Racing team, run by Arthur Lehouk, and who loves his KZ driving, but also is a Williams esports racer in the world of sim racing. So good to see him as him getting his hands dirty rather than getting getting a face full of spray in the visor when it comes to being out on track. 2 minutes and 50. Still to go. Cameron Nelson is starting to eat into that gap ever so slightly. He was quicker by 1/10.5 in sector 1, over 1/10.5 in sector 2. So he could gain another couple of tenths here. The gap now 2.2 seconds. Cameron Nelson took nearly 3 tenths out of Will Archer on that last tour. Right, we did have a 5-second time penalty just show up on the Digi flag. I'll wait for the announcement to come through very shortly. But again, Liam Allor and Ryan Gandor battling away for 7th position. Oh, what a big hit from behind on the rear bumper. I think that's the problem with the weather conditions that we have here. When you're on a slick surface on wet weather tyres, you can brake hard, but sometimes the front tyres might not rotate and slightly seat lock up, so to speak. And that could have been why Lenny Hobby-Lagash went into the back bumper quite significantly of Ryan Gandor at that point. And you're carrying a lot of speed coming out of turn 5 and into turn 6, but with 1.5 minutes still to go, plus an additional lap, Cameron Nelson is again, he's lighting up the timesheets purple. He's just got the gap down to under 1.9 seconds. Ollie Wise, who's now 4th, just goes and sets the fastest overall race lap in this one, a 1 minute 13.077. But the biggest mover up the order from 15th on the grid, now running P5, is Tom Reger from Germany on the Energy Corsa chassis. He's in that battle for P5 with Georgia's Mate Kobahidze. So looking at the first sector on this lap, Archer and Nelson pretty much even Steven, 28.9s for the pair. They're going to break the timing beam very shortly. And Cameron Nelson was over half a second quicker in sector number 2. So this could be a very, very interesting play towards the end of the race of how much Cameron Nelson can close on in, and can he get past That's the big thing. Can he get past Will Archer? Gap was 1.8, now 1.5 seconds. So Archer clawed back to just over a tenth in the final sector. So there's 2 laps to go, including this one. So it's about how much time Cameron Nelson can eat out of the race lead of Will Archer. There's Mate Gobehidze through turn 5. The wonderful Senna replica tribute helmet that he sports. Well, that was very close between Gobehidze and Alou from France in the 207 through turn number 6. Okay, Cameron Nelson fractionally faster, but by about 40 thousandths of a second between him and Will Archer. So Archer had done enough, and he probably might have thought, well, maybe Cameron Nelson is going to close up on me as the race proceeds onwards. We've got one more lap to go. Gap between Archer and Nelson last time around after 8 laps was 1.5 seconds. And Nelson was quicker by 0.2 in sector 2. He's slightly slower, but he's got the gap down again. Just under 1.4 seconds as we head on to the final lap of the opening heat for juniors in the Golden Trophy for 2024. And still some battles as of yet undecided. Albi Lapper has got Ollie Wise breathing down the back of his race overalls at the moment. They're not too far apart as they go into turn 7 for the final time. Cameron Nelson was 0.2 quicker in the opening sector. They're about to break the beam very shortly, and that gap has come down sizably. It was 1.4 seconds. I don't think it's going to be enough for Cam Nelson to close in on Will Archer. Nearly 2.5 tenths taking out of the race lead. So cumulatively 4 tenths taking out of Will Archer's lead, coming on to the final corner. And Nelson goes deep under brakes, but out of the final corner, Sam Pollitt Racing is going to have another race win to their credit. Will Archer from 6th on the grid takes the victory by just under 0.6 of a second. Cameron Nelson, fastest lap of anybody, and he took a whopping 8 tenths out of Will Archer. Got close, but not quite close enough. And there has been given a 5-second push to pass penalty for Cameron Nelson, which promotes Albi Lapper up to 2nd from 8th on the grid. Ollie Wise, P3, having started from pole. Cameron Nelson, finishing 2nd, drops back to 4th, ahead of Tom Reja. Mate Gobehidze takes 5th. That's 6th, ahead of Liam Alou, Lenny Robillot-Lagache, and Ryan Gander with Lars Lambers, completing the top 10. Albert Friend up 2 places to 11th, ahead of Vince van der Hollen and Bram van der Weken. Leblé Maxence and Erin Mordogan ran out the top 15. Ethan Griffiths makes steady progress from 22nd to finish 16th, ahead of Boris Verhaag. Maxime Becker tumbling all the way down to 18th at the end, ahead of Len Abbas, Sebastian Brandt, AJ Berghoff, Lieke van Berkel, Theo Giluto and Emir Sierkowska rounding out the 24 finishers. And unfortunately, on the opening tour, we lost the 288 of Archie Lovett.